Yeah, and we figured it out that I'm 1/32nd Hawaiian princess. And in fact, several years ago, we were at a function at our church. There was a new minister, and he said, "Oh, you're from Hawaii." And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, are you from missionary stock?" And I said, "No, my family used to eat the missionaries." And Carol, my wife, she said, kicking me, you know. And of course, the conversation just flatlined. But I don't know, they were talented, you know. Anyhow, sweet.
Can I help you?
All right. I'm sorry if I'm blocking people here.
Thank you.
Microphone. My family came to Hawaii. They were adventurers. They were not missionaries. And they came there in 1853. And so they were an old-time family there. And on my grandmother's side of the family, they were the Wards. And they were from the old man Ward, Curtis Perry Ward. He was, as far as we can determine, he was from Kentucky. And my oldest brother was quite a historian, and he said they found out it was court records in Kentucky where a Curtis P. Ward had to leave Kentucky in a hurry because he killed a man in a duel. And I said, well, it's because my great-granddaddy could only count to 9, and the other guy counted to 10. But here's a picture of the Diamond Head, kind of it was a small painting, and it's all going to be quick to start off the presentation with that. The Ward family, this was the Ward home in downtown Honolulu. I remember this as a kid, and what it's like, someone said, that looks like an old southern plantation. And it is, because that's my great-granddaddy, he was from the South. And so, during the Civil War, there was great sentiment each way, because there were some Northerners, and the Southerners were outnumbered by the Northerners. And so I remember they said they even had rocks thrown through their windows. And this particular scene of the ladies riding the horses, this would be around, I would say around 1930 maybe, and they're riding the horses all decked out with flower lace and stuff. This was the Kamehameha Day to commemorate it, and the ladies are called Pabu Riders. Pa'u meaning female rider, and it was. I remember the place. It was just a neat place. Because I would walk in the front door and here was a big tiger rug. I always thought that tiger rug was going to eat me. And they had stables, and so then as the people grew older, and finally the place got condemned and torn down, and now it's a civic center where they do sumo wrestling, kind of. And this is the scene at the Iolani Palace in downtown Honolulu, the last residence of the monarch. And this is the band. This is the Royal Hawaiian Band, which has been around since monarchy time. And my grandmother and grandfather were married when they were married at the old plantation. The Royal Hawaiian Band played. And which is kind of, also is an interesting thing that my grandfather married my grandmother. I don't know how that happened, because my grandfather Hustace, he was a Yankee, and here he married a Southerner. You know, I guess they resolved the Civil War. And this is just a scene of some koi fish in Honolulu. This is a landmark in Honolulu where you get genuine Hawaiian food. The Chinese lady was the owner, and great Hawaiian food. And they always said that the Chinese lady, she was always at the cash register. Nobody could touch that cash register except she. And so I had done some artwork for the American Cancer Society. And the American Cancer Society wanted to take us to lunch or dinner. And they said, where would you like to go? And I said, well, I want some Hawaiian food, is cow. I would like to have some Hawaiian cow, real stuff. So we went, and Carol was with us, and Carol, I was eating away with my fingers, you know, and Carol said, "Do you look around at this restaurant?" And, you know, everybody else was eating with forks. I said, never heard of eating Hawaiian food with a fork. But anyhow, but that was Helena's. It's a landmark. This is the Outrigger Canoe Club on Waikiki Beach. A very exclusive private club there. Beautiful, very beautiful place. Royal Hawaiian Hotel on Waikiki Beach. Now it's towered over by other big buildings. Interesting thing about this was, before World War II, the military, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they were going to defend the shore with big shore defense guns, disappearing gun tubes. That's how the enemy would come, you know. Of course, they didn't come that way. They flew in, you know. Yeah. But every time the military were going to practice with their disappearing guns, they'd fire off a couple of rounds, and they'd get a call from the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. "Would you please stop that? You're breaking our china and crystal." And this is also on Waikiki Beach, near another hotel, Halekulani Hotel. Diamond Head in the background, and Carol's in the picture. She always gets in my pictures, you know.
That's sweet.
And of course, Hawaii was a big producer of pineapples and sugarcane. This was back in the days when they had the Dole cannery, and the big pineapple shape, that's the water tower. And of course, that's no longer there. That's a thing of the past. And I read recently that even the sugarcane industry, that's a thing of the past. This was an old sugarcane locomotive, the Eva number 1, narrow gauge. And anybody remember seeing From Here to Eternity? Well, there was the sergeant was going to punish one of the guys, would make him go over the Koli Koli Pass with a full field pack. That's the Koli Koli Pass. And I did that for the American Cancer Society. That this was the design for their half marathon. We would start at the Schofield Barracks and go over the Koli Koli Pass down to Hualalai, down to a depot down there. Beautiful area. And when you're up high, it's cool. When you get down low, it's on the leeward side of the island, so it's hot. But beautiful. You can't do it anymore. 9/11, that ended that. Now we're on the Big Island. My family also had cattle ranches on the Big Island. And this is at Kailua Kona. And this is where they start the Ironman triathlon. They swim 2.5 miles out in this bay. And those are the slopes of the volcano Mauna Loa in the background. This was some art I did for the Hilo Marathon. And it's an ink and watercolor study, kind of fun. Tough course. And when I was, before World War II, my grandmother had a cattle ranch on the Kona side of the island, and we would go up to visit her. And so it's quite a trip. It was, a steamship. And so my mother would put us into a school, and this was a little school that we went to. This was the rural school, all Hawaiian kids, and it was just wonderful. And so I went back there several years ago, and the building is still there, but no more school. It's all consolidated now, But the interesting thing there is that they had a big lava flow, and the lava went on each side of the school, but they didn't destroy the school.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the same lava flow that destroyed a third of my grandmother's ranch in 3 hours. And this is a little. It was a little town called Kena in South Kona, and that little shack, that little Hawaiian shack, that was my grandmother's shack, and her ranch was up on the highlands, Mauna Loa. But the ship would come up the coast from Honolulu, and she didn't know exactly when it was going to be there. So if she had to pick up goods or passengers or something like that, she would come down and spend the night at this little shack. And now it's a state beach park, but the shack is still there. I think it's owned by a third cousin or something like that. And this was the ship that you'd come up on. It is the old rust bucket from Honolulu. Overnight transit, some of the roughest water in the world. They wouldn't even let us on the deck because we'd get swept overboard. And then when you would get to the bay, they'd lower the longboat, and then row you in over the breakers, and then bring you right up to the shore, and you get out and get your feet wet. Great fun. This is up at the Kilauea Volcano on the Big Island, and that's the Crater Rim Road. Back when I was doing a lot of competitive race walking, I decided to race walk around the entire crater, which is about 13 miles. So I started off at like 2 a.m. and we were staying at the Volcano House, the hotel. As soon as I got out of the side of the Volcano House, it was pitch black. And here I'm walking along, nobody on the road. And then a car came in the other direction, and it was all the green light, like a, you know, it was from the sulfur, I guess, you know. It was kind of spooky, but that was a volcano. But up here is nice and cool. Here's the volcano, the lava. There are two different types of lava. One is the type that tumbles and crumbly. It's aha, and the other type is like a molten mud. It's called Popoy Point, and that's what this is, a Popoy Point. Very fast move. It's just like superheated, and the lava in the background with the still. This is a consignment that Carol had me do. She wanted 2 paintings for our guest bedroom, and she said I want certain colors, and you know, so I said okay, I'll do 2 scenes from the volcano, and this is the flora. It's ohelo, the blossom, but it's all kind of misty, and that's how it is up there. And here's the lava. And that's one place you don't want to get near. And here's the lava in the background with the plants in the foreground. And then one of my favorite towns in Hawaii is Hilo. It's an old Hawaiian town, and it's right at the ocean, and here they are bringing in the catch. And this is on the Wailuku River. This is in the town of Hilo, and beautiful falls. It's near the falls of Rainbow Falls. And another scene in Hawaii. This is a Parker Ranch. Parker Ranch was a bigger ranch than King Ranch in Texas, and it's just immense. It goes all the way from the mountains to the sea. And where this is located in a town called Kilauea, that's where my mom and dad settled down, because my dad liked it because the temperature was like San Francisco. Mauna Kea golf, if anybody's a golfer, it's a good place. A lot of wind. And this is a Pu'u petroglyph. You walk back in there, it's like something I've seen of on a Walt Disney movie or something where the trees are trying to grab you or something like that. It's just it's a neat thing. It takes about a half an hour to get back to all those petroglyphs. And there's the Rainbow Falls. That's also in Hilo. And that's it, folks.